Okay, it's June 2016. I thought I'd give an updated video, a short one, on a few aspects that we've come across at this particular location. I'm now going to say directly that if you don't believe in there being a UK Bigfoot, switch off, move away now. Don't bother wasting your time listening to me. Those of you that do know or suspect, have experience or have belief or just interested in the whole idea of there being a British Bigfoot, because there certainly is, then please carry on watching. If you're genuinely interested, then I'm telling you here and now, I've seen evidence for them being all around the UK now, from other people that have gone out researching, and from various things I've seen myself. So they're not isolated. There must be more of them, and how many I do not know, but I feel that there's a very large community of these people spread around the UK. Of course, we've got no way of monitoring how many that could involve, because we haven't got the ability to actually track them down to the point that we can actually confirm their existence. I think that we're on the cusp of that. We're starting to piece together some of the clues, but we're a long way off from actually confirming scientifically that they're here. Whether we do have a body in the future remains to be seen, but I think it's going to be very unlikely. Yes, I do believe there is an element to them that is flesh and blood, because we've seen them on the thermal camera. So in order to do that, you've got to give away a heat signature. They do have a physical presence on the land. There's the footprints, although I have to admit that so far it's been very difficult tracing any source of footprints at this particular location. One, it's down to the conditions, the forest conditions. It's quite a dry forest in lots of ways, even in the winter time. Very well drained, and also that they seem to understand that I'm out there looking for evidence for them. So I think they're being even more particularly conscious of the impression they leave on the landscape. Anyway, the footprints are neither here nor there. I know that these forest people are here at this location, so are there other ways of actually gaining the source of evidence that we need? Well, I have to say that through a few of my experiments to date, we have been very successful in capturing some sort of evidence that confirms our suspicions, or knowledge, should I say. What sort of things have we found? Well, I'm going to have to. I think I wanted to keep quiet on a lot of things that we found at the location, for the reason that if you start drip feeding information, the evidence, blah blah, it loses its gravity and significance. So I'd rather do it all in one go if I get the chance. And at the moment I'm trying to get that chance, but I'm finding it's a bit of a brick wall. So maybe in the not too distant future I will be able to release a little bit more information about what I found today. And you know, for the UK this is overwhelming. I have to say, it is overwhelming. For the Bigfoot community as a whole, there's one bit that I think is very powerful. It's not going to be anything quite like the Patterson Gimlin film, but there's elements that relate to the significance of the Patterson-Gimlin film, and that remains to be seen, and it's something that most people aren't fully aware of. They might have watched the Patterson-Gimlin film time and time again, but there's one element to it that has been picked up upon that has been overlooked, and I think now there should be a lot more relevance to that particular point in question, which luckily, this is why I say I have been very lucky. Generally speaking, it's impossible finding anything to do with the Sasquatch, let alone Sasquatch in the UK, but I've been very fortunate in one. It was beginner's luck. I think you'd have to say beginner's luck for me, in the sense that it was when I first found this location. I think it caught them by surprise as well as me by surprise, and since then it's been very difficult trying to progress to the point of getting the same sort of photographic proof following that. But that's for another day. I'm just giving you a teaser there as to there is potential stuff I'm sitting on that will be released at a later stage, and I think it's going to have a little bit of a hostility. Well, anything that goes with the Bigfoot forums and is pretty hostile at the best of times, particularly if you come out with something that's so far out there that nobody has the willingness to take your word, or to accept that there might be something extra going on with the Sasquatch people. So what I want to do at this stage is to say that the stuff that we have been seeing at Site 4 and Site 6 now around the Goldilocks zone has been odd. We've seen bright lights, okay, just flashes of lights, mostly emanating from the Goldilocks zone, because when we go and sit down in Site 6 for the night, we sit quite a distance away from the Goldilocks zone, but it's viewable through the forest canopy and that, so there is unlikely to be any sort of human light stemming from that particular area. And as you say, we don't see people there during the daytime, very few people, dog walkers mostly, and at night time we've yet to see anyone. So chance of it being a human origin over a number of nights we've witnessed now, not just myself, there's been 3 other people now that have witnessed the lights, the flashing of the lights. But the one time that I actually witnessed personally myself was around about October time. I've got the specific date written down somewhere, but I witnessed daytime. This is daytime. This is the strange thing. Usually you only see these light anomalies at night, but this was during the daytime, and it's very different to the ones that we see at night. This one was red. It was a red glowing light above the ground, about 6 foot off the ground, let me say about 100 meters away, through the forest, trees, around the back end of the Goldilocks zone. I was actually sitting on one side of the Goldilocks zone, well, standing on one side of the Goldilocks zone, looking through, and I saw this bright red light. Well, I wouldn't say bright. Considering it was daylight, it must have been bright for me to see it. Yes, the woodland gave it some sort of shadowing, so for me to actually see it, but it was a glowing red light. You can imagine a cigarette, somebody puffing on a cigarette. It looks quite a hue, a sort of reddish hue, and then you breathe in, you suck in on the cigarette, and then it lights up, it glows really bright, but a sort of a specularly type nature to it, and then the glowing sort of, as you stop sucking on the cigarette, it sort of slowly fades and disappears, and it lasted about 2-3 seconds. It was too quick for me to actually pick up the camera and take a picture, and it was, you know, it was 100 meters away, and I was trying to make out what it was. I was trying to see if there's any chance of there being any humans related to it, and it was no way on earth, no way on earth, no way, no way. It was in pretty dense woodland. There's no paths going through that part, and how in the hell, you know, there's no reason behind that sort of glowing light. But that was something I personally witnessed during the daytime. At night time we see single bright flashes of light, usually around about the ground level, although one person has actually witnessed one, or two people actually witnessed the same thing. A double flash that was in the canopy, in the tree canopy. Don't know quite what it related to, because that was quite unusual. It was a bit different. A skeptic would take all sorts of different views on it, but we're just reporting on what we're seeing. We don't go out looking for the sources of these. We remain static, because what we find is that usually after you get the flashes of light, we get contact. Doesn't I mean, I'll say 60% of the time you would get the contact without seeing any light sources. All right, but yeah, usually there's occasions where you've seen the bright lights, and then within about 3-4 minutes we get the contact, and so we do feel that they are linked in some way. In fact, I think I'll put my hand on my heart and say I know that they are linked. Which brings us on to the subject: who are the Sasquatch people? There's good reason why they've not been found to date, and I think now we're starting to paint a picture why this is. You know, the funny things that happened at SOA. Yeah, I can start to buy into that. Before, I was sitting on the fence as to who Sasquatch people were. Certainly they're very different, unique species, but I was of the opinion they were some sort of relic hominid. I think I've eliminated that idea now, because in this country we seem to understand that we know everything about every square inch of this land, but we don't. But in medieval times they had their own feelings about these forest people, woodwusses, which I'm referring to as Anglosasquatches, because I do think that these 8-foot tall forest people are closely related to those that are found in America, and if they have the ability to do these strange things, then they could be one and the same. Don't know for sure. There's a few antics that they do differently in the UK. I think you've seen ground sticks. Now this could be something that they do differently because of the nature of the UK, that they have to be a little bit more discreet about their activity, and hence why they've remained pretty much unknown about in the UK until people really started to go out there looking. And apart from the odd occasional sighting, eyewitness report, because they do happen, they have been happening for, you know, hundreds of years, even most recently, you know, within the last few years, before this whole Bigfoot thing sort of kicked off. So people have been seeing these for a long time, and now getting to the point where I found a location that I do feel is very important to them. Very important to them. I'm trying to piece together why that is. Is it anything to do with ley lines? Is it anything to do with ancient monuments? Is it anything to do with other sources of geological processes? Whatever. But I'm seeing these things happening around different parts of the UK. So you're looking for potentially other reasons, like, are they here to monitor our forests or the health of the planet? Am I going a bit too far there? I don't know. I think anyone's guess at the moment is as good as anyone else's. But these bright lights going off, and being associated with these Anglosasquatches, and particularly stemming from this area which is referred to as the Goldilocks zone. What else can I say about the Goldilocks zone? Right, well, it's not just the bright flashes of light that have been experienced there. We've had on 2, 3 separate occasions, twice with fellow colleagues, once by myself. But you have the pungent smells, you know, they're like rotting vegetation meat going off right next to you. You know, a burst lasting about 2 to 3 seconds, and not being associated with any other external sources of smell. You know, we go around looking for dead animals and things like that, trying to locate the smell. It's nothing to do with those at all. But this has happened 3 times pretty much on the Goldilocks zone, so it does seem like it's a hotspot for some sort of related activity to them. Believe me, when you smell that smell, you know it's nothing to do with any sort of ordinary forest smell or any chicken farm or anything like that. That goes off, it's very potent, and we've had that also go off at night right next to us on a very still night, back in Site 6, nothing to do with the Goldilocks zone, where we go and sit and do our night investigations. We just sit there and hopefully they come to us. And on this one particular night we had one that must have been within feet of us to actually give off that smell, because the air movement was dead still, and yet we had that smell right next to us. Very powerful smell. We flicked on the thermal cameras, traced all around us, not a whisper. Not a whisper. How do they do that? I don't know. But I'm trying to piece together that these forest people, these Anglo-Sasquatches, do not fit in the normal scheme of things that we are familiar with. They are out there. They are out there somewhere in the sci-fi realm. And what is their purpose here? I don't know, but I feel that we are slowly making progress to make contact with them. I say last October was the best opportunity that we had, because I actually heard conversation, I heard speech from one of them. It wasn't English, and I have to say it was a little bit like Sasquatch Ontario, the sounds from one of them, sort of deep guttural, but it was words, it was speech, and I heard it with a bionic ear, and I felt that it was, I guess it must have been communicating to one of its mates, because we had them surrounding us at that point. We had probably 3 or 4 surrounding us. One ran past us, pitch dark, you know, black, couldn't see a foot in front of you, and you can hear one run past us about 50 feet away, and I thought, wow, that's our camera gone. We thought it would have nicked the camera we had set up on a tripod about 100 feet in front of us, 70 to 100 feet in front of us, but no, it didn't even record that forest person running past the camera. The camera switched off. It was fully charged, had loads of memory on a 60-minute cycle, and it switched off at 17 minutes. No reason for it at all. So they do have other abilities. I know it sounds far-fetched, but I'm only reporting upon our experiences. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. But don't have a go at me for saying you're making it all up. I'm not. I'm just reporting to you the way it happens. If you go out and do it for yourself, maybe you will find a similar set of circumstances happening to you. So I would encourage you to do that. If you have a shadow of a doubt about what I'm saying, go do it yourself, see if you can find them. It took me 3 years, alright? It took me 3 years of research to track down this particular location. Now I know it's a hot spot, and they haven't been scared off by us coming, and but they do keep their distance. But I'm hoping over time they will overcome that, and the less technology we use, I think the better possibility we will have of making contact, which would be great. And I don't feel that they're hostile towards us. I say I've had 2 experiences where there's been the potential for hostility, but it's not been anything like that. I think it's just been warnings, but there's been no actual proper hostile actions towards us. Right, I'm running out of memory on this, so I'm going to end it here, and then maybe do a second video just confirming a few extra points. Alright, over and out for now.